many of you have heard of Homestuck? Do you read it? Okay. Well, Homestuck is a webcomic written by Andrew Hussey. Currently it has a flux in readership that actually started in 2008. But let me tell you, it's not your average webcomic. Homestuck has broken the mold of traditional comics. Generally, you have the comic page or comic strip that has a few panels on it, right? And those panels have the art, of course, and then it has some description boxes maybe, some speech bubbles, maybe some sound effects. However, also, your average webcomic updates on, say, a few set days per week with one strip per week, or maybe 2, or maybe 3. Very static, right? Well, not Homestuck. I believe that Hussey actually manages to use the internet and visual arts technology to its fullest extent. Homestuck updates almost every day with as many as 10 panels per day. But these aren't just your simple panels with speech bubbles or description boxes. As you may think, oh, but this is just one panel. It's not even a strip. How could that be interesting? Well, this panel is generally a picture or a GIF with simple animation that can stand on its own. And it's usually accompanied with a chat log between the characters because they generally communicate through the internet. Hussey's previous comics, such as Problem Sith, also use this, but since Homestuck is of a greater magnitude, he was able to experiment a lot more. For example, some of the bigger panels actually incorporate flash animations and interactive games, and where you can be the character and move around and interact with other characters within that panel. These flash animations also have music in them, so there are a lot of albums that are out already. In fact, if you go on tindeck.com, there's a special genre just for Homestuck music, which is pretty interesting. For the bigger flash animations, he doesn't update as often because, of course, they need more work, but he set aside hiatuses, and the biggest one we've gotten so far was Cascade, which was actually a 13-minute long flash animation after a month-long hiatus. And we almost crashed Newgrounds due to the internet traffic that we brought to the site. And the same thing actually happened with the recent update, although we didn't crash any sites this time. But here's the internet traffic that we caused on its site. As you can see, these are the people consistently checking the site to see if there's an update. Suddenly, bam, update. The newest update was actually an interactive game, but instead this time he decided to experiment a little more with his web design team and such, and he turned it into an HTML5 game. And we were all like, hey, this is actually really fun. It seems just like the Flash game, but it's coded in HTML5. We didn't even know that was possible. So on to the story itself. Why are so many people so emotionally invested into this story? Well, let me try to give you an overview of Homestuck. Homestuck is a complex network of intertwined relationships of space-time parallels of a group of juvenile human beings, as exemplified here, with a slightly larger group of humanoid extraterrestrials who must work together to save their universes from a rogue villain, right here, perpetrated by and told through a video game with the ability to manipulate time and space while simultaneously bringing about the end of the world, interspersed with narration from an omniscient talking cue ball, along with the story of a group of gang-involved beings hell-bent upon exacting revenge on a rival group of gang-involved beings, all tied together with an ironically self-depreciating sense of humor and classical character archetypes from throughout human history, along with the internet central humor of today's youth. That may have sounded complicated, but once you get into the story, you'll actually find out that it's a very, very concise and very good explanation of Homestuck. Now, but then again, you're already getting confused. Why is this so complicated? If it was a good webcomic, why would I be confused before I even started reading it? Well, on one hand, it actually makes perfect sense. On another, it's a little complicated because of how he tells it. The story itself, the plot is very twisty-turny, but also the way he tells it, he has a lot of backtracking. The story goes somewhat non-linearly, but if you read through it, then you'll start to understand what's going on, and you'll catch the subtle nuances and such. However, I must warn you, the entire site, mspainadventures.com, which is where Homestuck is located, is over 5,000 panels long. It holds the record for the longest webcomic on the internet on tvtropes.org. So I must warn you that it may not be a good time to start reading until you actually have more time, say maybe spring break or next summer if you must. If it's just too daunting to you, Homestuck also has actually a few books out. There are 2 books so far, each detailing an act. Each portion of Homestuck has an act, and so these 2 books have the panels laid out. You must be wondering, how is he going to put the animations in there? Well, you can see for yourself in the books. I can't exactly describe it, but on the bottom of each page, there's a little author's note, and it describes how he went through those panels and how he came up with them, which is really interesting, especially for the first part, because it's mostly reader-based. Readers put in submissions for the actions the characters had to do for much of the first act. The Homestuck fandom itself is also really creative. It's one of the most creative ones I've seen so far. Normal fandoms say you have your fan art, you have your fan fiction. Okay, well that's usual. But in this fandom, we have music created by many people, remixes and such, and we also have Tumblr, of course, where, for example, on one of our longer hiatuses, we realized, hey, weeaboos often mistake Homestuck for an anime. So we decided to put as a joke, pretend Homestuck was an actual anime. And as a joke, we posted screenshots of our favorite episodes, and some people even ended up dubbing it Homestuck in Japanese. I don't even know how that happened. Now there's a full-fledged project for turning Homestuck into an actual anime, which is kind of nerdy sounding, but it's also really cool if you think about it. They're actually getting animators and such from the internet. But it's not just us weirdos running the scene. There are a few well-known figures also doing this. For example, Adventure Time, a cartoon on Cartoon Network, actually they gained some inspiration from Homestuck to create another one of their characters, Marceline. And I'll let you read the comic to see which one that is. And also, Dante Bosco reads Homestuck. If you don't know who he is the voice actor for Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and also General Iroh from Legend of Korra. And he's the actor for Rufio in the movie Hook. And he keeps up a Tumblr where he live blogs his reading of Homestuck, which is pretty cool if you ask me. So TLDR, Homestuck is a great webcomic with an amazing fandom, and you should read it. Once you start, there's only thousands more pages to go. Warning, it may cause you to be house-trapped. Thank you.
I really like your speech because it really opened my eyes and taught me new things about webcomics, which I've never even heard of or thought about until this point. So I really like that. You had your voice was very projecting, and you made good eye contact, which is all extremely important to a good speech. And I just thought overall it's it kept me entertained, and you had all sorts of visuals that was really brought out some emphasis for your speech. But I guess some improvements you could make is that since this speech is about persuading with power, you could try to tie in more persuasion. I really it's maybe more often throughout certain portions of your speech, just tie in, oh, this is why webcomics are very good, and this is why you should read it, and stuff like that. And also, just since this is your 9th speech, I would also recommend that instead of standing mainly behind a desk, try to move out. And I see that you still use some notes for your speech, and that since you're about to give your last speech in the near future,
It's out of order.
It's It's out of order.
Yeah, mine.
Oh, really? So, like, which speech number? How many speeches have you
I have
done?
like 3 left.
Oh, you've only done 3?
No, she has 3 left.
Oh, you have 3 left. Okay. All right. Yeah, but okay. Okay, that kind of feeling what I was trying to say, but yeah. So I still encourage you to like try to like stray away from notes and just try to like be out here, like bring yourself to the audience and just try. Since you really enjoy webcomics, it shouldn't be that hard to like really know and memorize your stuff. But other than that, it was a very good speech, and yeah, I can't wait until 3 speeches later you give your last one. So, all right, so please.
Oh god.
What?